Welcome to The Soft Life with me, Candy Washington, where we explore all things self-love, manifestations, and relationships with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. So be sure to subscribe, share, and join us on Patreon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Soft Life Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Candy Washington, and I cannot wait to help you lead a more joyful life. But before we dive into today's episode, which is how to own the room, I'm going to give you the secret to owning the room that no one talks about. And it's really a part of how to activate your main character energy. It's just one aspect of that. I can do another video on main character energy in general, but right now we're going to talk about how to own the room. But before we dive in, go ahead and grab our free self-love guide that's linked down below. Join us on Patreon, shop our Soft Girl merchandise line, and get a course if you need additional support. We have courses on self-love, manifestation, lifestyle design, and all of it. Subscribe, like, and share. So with that, let's dive into today's episode. So first, let's talk a little bit about what main character energy is. To me, main character energy is just knowing that your well-being is your first and best priority, that you have the power to determine how people treat you and the trajectory of your life, and just center and making yourself the center of your life. Obviously, we mean in healthy ways. We're not talking about toxic selfishness or anything like that. We're just talking about being healthy, evolved human beings where we know that we need to prioritize our own self, our own well-being, how we treat ourselves, how other people treat us, and standing in the knowingness and the power that we have to determine the outcome of our lives. That we have the power to determine our relationships, our relationship to self, our money, our career, whatever the case is. To me, being the main character means that you know that you are also the director and the producer and the writer of your own life. Let me get off my soapbox with that. And now let's dive into why you're listening to this episode, which is how to own the room. So when we talk about owning the room, it's really that feeling you get. Like we've all been at a party or an event and there's just been this like it person, right? Like this guy walks into the room and everyone's just like captivated, or this woman walks into the room and you know she just owns the room, like she's the person everybody wants to talk to, and all of that stuff. But owning the room can also just be if you're giving a presentation, if you're going on a first date, if you are going to a gathering with some friends and maybe some new friends and you want to make a good first impression. So owning the room is just anytime you want to really show up and be comfortable and confident in the space that you take up within social settings. Again, it could be at work, giving a presentation or whatever it is. You just want to show up with that energy of feeling confident in your own skin within these social settings. To me, that's really what owning the room is. So let's talk about a couple of ways that you can do that. So number one, I want you to think about what would the experience of owning the room feel like for you? Because it might feel different for other people. So just think about that. You can journal it out, you can talk it out. Just think about, I'm going to X event or I'm doing, X thing. What would it actually look and feel like for me to have owned that room? Get clear on the feeling. What would you say? What would you do? How would it feel to have totally, knocked out that presentation for work, to have gone to the party and made 5 new friends, to have, gone on the first date and had fun, on it and like met someone cool, or whether it's romantic new person, or maybe this is a new friend, or just a great evening out, cocktails with the girls. What would it look and feel like authentically for you to have owned that experience? Get clear on that feeling because that's the feeling you're going to want to live in and then be able to recreate when the experience actually happens. So getting clarity on what does it feel like for you to own that room. The second thing is, what is your goal for the time in the room? If you're doing the presentation at work, is the goal to get a raise? Is the goal to get your project greenlit? Is your goal just to make a really great impression on your coworkers and on your boss? What is the goal of your time in the room? If you're going on a date, sometimes the goal is just I'm just going to enjoy myself tonight. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to marry this person and have 5 kids. It could just be, you know what? I'm just going to go and I'm just going to enjoy myself. I'm going to actively listen. That could be the goal of the date. Maybe the goal of the date is just to get a second date, If you choose, if that person, you choose, because remember, this is a little bit of a sidebar, but I think it's applicable here. It's not just, I want to get this person to choose me for another date. The mentality is, I'm going to go on this date to see if I choose this person, you know? That also could be a goal. Have that mentality. Sometimes if it's a networking event, maybe the goal is to connect with, 2 people who you could really see yourself, collaborating with. Maybe it's connecting with one person, maybe it's connecting with 5. But have a goal in mind for what you want to accomplish by owning the room. Again, it could just be, I just want to have a good time. I just want to go out and enjoy myself. That in and of itself is a great and valid goal. But now I want to share with you the secret to owning the room. So now that we know what owning the room feels and looks like for you as your own experience, and now that we know what your goal is for owning the room, the secret to truly owning the room is to now think, how do I want the people that I interact with to feel about me? What do I want this person's experience of me to be? Because that's truly what owning the room is. When people talk about the people who walk in the room and they have a sort of je ne sais quoi, little confidence about them, it's always, she made me feel like I was the only person in the room. She always looked me in the eye when she talked to me. He gave me such a firm handshake. They always talk about how being in that person's presence made them feel. And from that feeling, that person became confident and magnetic and attractive and all of that stuff because of how that person made them feel within their presence. That to me ups the level of owning the room, because people always talk about what their experience of you is, And a couple of ways to do that. And I think the number one way to do that is practice being present in the moment. Slow down and be present within the moment. Look people in the eye when they're talking to you. Don't look over their shoulder to say, well, who's a cooler person? Who's a more richer person? Who's a more, whatever person that I want to talk to? Who's all of that stuff. Don't do that. Whoever you're talking to, whether you're talking to the valet or the waiter or the president of the function, whatever it is, treat every single person with respect. Slow down and be present. Look them in the eye. That really shows the character of who you are. Treat everyone with respect and be present. Don't be distracted thinking about who's the next person I got to be. Be present. Actively listen and be engaged. Don't just listen to wait to respond, but actually listen, be engaged, because people will be like, wow, I feel like that person really saw me. That person really listened to me. That person really just made me feel like I was the only one there. Those are the qualities that people say when they say that person's really charismatic or whatever it is. They always talk about how this person made me feel. So if you want to own a situation, whether it's talking to somebody one-on-one, whether it's going to dinner and in cocktails with your friends, whether it's a first date, whether it's giving a presentation, whatever it is, be very mindful of what is the other person's or people's experience of you. And that's how you truly become magnetic. That's how you own the room. That's how you have charisma, because that's what people will remember about you. Have a firm handshake and make eye contact. If we're still shaking hands, but whatever, if you shake hands, have a firm handshake, look people in the eye, actively listen, slow down, and be present. Now that's what you do when you're actually in the room. But let's take a beat and go back. So before you get into the room, here are a couple of things that you can do. Number one, you can visualize. You can visualize what the room looks like, whether you know what it looks like or not. Just think about what this room would look like in your imagination. And imagine loving light coming from every single corner, the ceiling, the floor, all the four corners of the room. And you're in the center of it, and just visualize and imagine all of that loving, confident light coming to you, consuming you, and then coming through you and out of you. So, this loving light from every corner, every aspect of this room is coming to you, and then you're radiating it. You're radiating that light. You're radiating that joy. You're radiating that love. You're radiant. So, when you walk into that room, you feel that you've already owned it. You've already received the love. You've already received the light. And then from there, you glow from it. You radiate it, right? So do like a 5 or 10 minute visualization of that. Put yourself in it. And like we did at the very beginning, in the visualization, get that feeling of what it would feel like to have owned that room. So get in that feeling state. So then when you walk into that room, you are already walking in energetically from a place of having owned it, of receiving the love and the light, and also radiating and reflecting the love and the light. Because as we know, your energy goes into the room before you physically go into the room. You're in any situation. When somebody walks into a room, you know who they are, you know who their position is before they open their mouth. Your energy shows up before you do. So get into an energetic place. The next thing you can do is an affirmation rampage for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes before you go in. And this is, very similar to like what we were saying earlier. You can say like, I own the room, I radiate love and joy, everybody wants to talk to me, I'm so charismatic, I am magnetic, I'm so present, I did such a great job, blah, 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 blah. I had such a good time. Whatever it is that we talked about earlier about what you want the experience to be and what you want your goal to be, do an affirmation rampage on that. Affirm. I walked into the room and all eyes were on me. I met so many great people, I did such a good job, blah, 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 blah. I had such a good time. Everybody loved talking to me. I love talking to everybody. I can't believe I got the promotion after this. I can't believe I got the second date after this. Just really build yourself up with how you want it to feel and what the goals you want it to accomplish and how you made everybody else feel. Everybody loved me, whatever it is, right? So those are two things that you can actually do to change yourself up energetically, to pump yourself up before you walk into the room. Visualize it, get into the feeling state, and then affirm, 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 affirm. So when you walk into that room energetically, boom, you're already magnetic and you're ready to go. And you're also focused and clear because now you know what your goals are. You know how you want to feel, you know what you want to accomplish, and you know how you want others to feel in your presence. And last but not least, be sure to check in with yourself throughout. This can be a mental check in. Am I being present? Am I having fun? Am I smiling? Am I slowing down? Am I accomplishing my goals? Have my goals changed? This is just an inner game of being present in the moment, because you can have a great game plan when you walk into the room, but sometimes we can get overwhelmed, we can get distracted, we can get sidetracked. So it's always good to just check in with yourself. Am I breathing? Am I slowing down? Am I being present? How am I showing up for myself? How am I showing up for other people? And if you need to, go to the bathroom for 5 minutes and do a mental rampage, or do a mental visualization or whatever it is, and just take a beat to recollect yourself and then go back into the room and shine, shine, shine. Okay, so be sure just to check in with yourself throughout because, we can have the best game plan, but sometimes our nerves will get the best of us. So just check in with yourself how you're doing. So there you have it. Those are 5 ways to own the room and activate your main character energy. So as always, if you need additional support, be sure to grab our free self-love guide. We have tons of courses down below: manifestation, self-love, lifestyle design, and more. Join our Patreon community, shop our Soft Girl merch line. We have some cute totes and sweatshirts and pants and all of that stuff. So check it out down below. And be sure to subscribe, like, and share. So with that, you guys, take care of yourself and each other, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Welcome to The Soft Life with me, Candy Washington, where we explore all things self-love, manifestations, and relationships with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. So be sure to subscribe, share, and join us on Patreon.